powerful than all their weapons and equipment. The words of Woodrow Wilson. We have no selfish ends to serve. We desire no conquest, no dominion. We fight for the ultimate peace of the world and for the liberation of her peoples, the German peoples included. For millions on both sides, the words of way above the stalemated slaughter of the battlefields, above the strangle on the sea and under it, and give it moral significance. A war to end war. The American Expeditionary Force, the AEF in France. For the war-worn British, it is the last great reserve army of civilization. In its coming, the French see the magical operation of a blood transfusion, the arrival of new life in floods to reanimate the mangled body of France, bled white by the innumerable wounds of war. The Yanks have come. The Yanks are over there. General John J. Black Jack Pershing, commander of the American troops, applauds the words of his subordinates. Lafayette, nous voici. Lafayette, we are here. Before battle, months of training, reorganization, and deployment. Time to see something of France, which of course means Paris. Back home, they're having wheatless Mondays and meatless Tuesdays and hunting spies and hounding slackers. But behind the lines in France, the most important thing, the most important girl in the world is Mademoiselle from Armentières, who hasn't been kissed in 40 years. Oh, the general got the Croix de Guerre, but the son of a gun was never there. Hinky-dinky parley-woo. Front, the war, it is waiting, not very far away. The fields of France and Flanders, no man's land. After 3.5 years of futile attack and bloody repulse, victory seems no nearer for either side. 700,000 casualties, French and German, at Verdun, and nothing gained. 60,000 British lost in a single day on the Somme, and nothing changed. And the worst comes at Passchendaele, and nothing changes but the casualty list. Do you remember the stretcher cases lurching back with dying eyes and lolling heads? Those ashen gray masks of the lads who once were keen and kind and gay. But in spite of everything, they sing, "What's the use of worrying? It never was worthwhile. So pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile." A whole generation, British, French, German, the finest, the best, the bravest on both sides, is fed into the mincing machine. 500 miles of Germans, 500 miles of French and English, Scotch and Irishmen, all fighting for a trench. And when the trench is taken and many thousands slain, the losers with more slaughter retake the trench again. As 1917 ends, the trenches run unchanged from Switzerland to the English Channel, and the greatest battle of all is yet to come. Field marshals will decide when, generals will decide where. C'est la guerre. But for the men, I have a rendezvous with death at some disputed barricade when spring comes back with rustling shade and apple blossoms fill the air. And I to my pledged word am true. I shall not fail that rendezvous. The German High Command. With the coming of 1918 comes a momentous decision. The Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Turkey, Bulgaria, have a new Supreme Commander, Field Marshal Hindenburg, hero of the strategic victories which have defeated Imperial Russia and paved the way for the Communist Revolution. But Germany's war at sea has failed, and the Western Front is deadlocked. So Hindenburg and the General Staff decide on what they admit is a gambler's throw in the West, where the war will be won or lost. With Russia eliminated, the High Command moves 1 million battle-hardened troops and 3,000 from east to west. The race for France begins. Can Germany apply overpowering pressure against the exhausted British and the depleted French before American military might comes into full play? Says Hindenburg, that and that only is the decisive question. Time will no longer wait for either side. Behind the Kaiser's unbroken military front, unrest is simmering. Great Britain's naval blockade has sapped the German economy. Germany's allies are faltering. American strength is growing. For Hindenburg and his brilliant chief of staff, Ludendorff, there remains only their gambler's throw. Break the enemy line, split the British from the French, and bring the allies to their knees. Hindenburg's trump in the great gamble, the German soldier. In 4 years of fighting, he has seen the struggle grow from a Balkan murder into the First World War, with 23 nations ranged against him, including his pre-war ally, Italy. Outnumbered everywhere, from the New World to the Orient, his front has been broken nowhere, and the casualties he inflicts are always bloodier than the casualties he suffers. For months now, his communiques have read, "Im Westen nichts Neues," all quiet on the Western Front. For the first time since the invasion of Belgium, German numerical superiority in the West. 750,000 men secretly marshaled along a 50-mile front. March the 21st, 1918. The great offensive of the Great War. French and British lines crack and break. In assault after assault, the Germans close in on Paris and threaten the English Channel. Allied order of the day to all ranks in France and Flanders. Every position must be held to the last man. There must be no retirement. With our backs to the wall and believing in the justice of our cause, each one of us must fight on to the end. The safety of our homes and the freedom of mankind depend upon the conduct of each of us at this critical moment. And the Allied governments informed the United States, there is great danger of the war being lost unless the numerical inferiority of the Allies can be remedied as rapidly as possible by the advent of American troops. Now suddenly the roads to the front begin to be filled with endless streams of Americans. The impression made upon the hard-pressed French by this seemingly inexhaustible flood of gleaming youth in its first maturity of health and vigor is prodigious. Half-trained, half-organized, with only their courage, their numbers, and their magnificent youth behind their weapons, they are to buy their experience at a bitter price. But this they are quite willing to do. So Winston Churchill describes the advent of the Americans on the Western Front as the caissons go rolling along. A new kind of war with a new dimension. The pain and dying are the same, but man's inventive genius has improved the methods of inflicting pain and death. For the infantry, the new rapid-fire machine gun, the new heavy cannon of Krupp and Skoda, and newest of all, killing by chemistry, liquid fire and poison gas. And from the air, strafing and bombardment. For the new kind of fighter, the pilot, another new kind of death. The dogfight. The big parade, to support the British at Amiens, to hold the Marne bridges with the French at Château-Thierry. Now there will be new names to rank with Yorktown and Gettysburg and Manila Bay. There will be Belleau Wood and San Miguel and the Second Battle of the Marne, with Paris less than 100 kilometers away. It is 0 hour for the AEF. July 1918, counterattack, over the top. For the Yanks, it's heaven, hell, or Hoboken by Christmas. And the Marines yell, "Come on, you! Do you want to live forever?" General Pershing, Due to the magnificent dash and power displayed on the field of Soissons, the tide of war is definitely turned. German resistance, heroic. German losses, disastrous. Their exhausted infantry now must cope with tanks, conceived and perfected by the British, who used them to breach the Hindenburg Line on August the 8th. The Black Day of the German Army. Field Marshal Foch's order of the day. Everyone is to attack as soon as he can, as strong as he can, for as long as he can. And again the cry of the Marne, on les aura. Late September 1918. The greatest assault yet launched by American soldiers, the Meuse-Argonne offensive. In 40 days of slugging, the Allies break the Hindenburg Line. There are perhaps 10 million men dead of this war, and perhaps 100 million persons to whom death would be a blessing, writes an American ambassador in Europe. And he adds, the hills about Verdun are not blown to pieces worse than the whole social structure and the intellectual and spiritual life of Europe. I wonder that anybody is sane. I will lead you into glorious times, the Kaiser once said. But now his subjects say, better an end with terror than terror without end. 4 months of shattering defeat at the front, unrest, revolution, mutiny at home, the hope of a just peace and a better, freer world as promised by President Wilson's 14 points. All these have at last destroyed the German army and its allies. Hindenburg admits, the struggle was beyond our strength. November 11, 1918, 11 a.m. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The Kaiser has fled to Holland. Imperial Germany has ceased to exist. The Great War is over. Oui, oui, Marie. The Great War is won. But what good came of it at last, quoth little Peterkin. Why, that I cannot tell, said he, but 'twas a famous victory. The Yanks, home from the yesterdays of the old world, home to the tomorrows of the new world. Their country has emerged from the Great War as the most powerful nation on earth. An era has ended, another begins. And we won't come back till it's over there. 50,000 Yanks will never come back. But those that do believe that it is over there, that they have made the world safe for democracy, that they have fought the war to end war. And so, Johnny comes marching home.